Hello, Gemini, and welcome back to Mind, Body, and Heart Tower Therapy. Excuse my voice, I might cough a little bit during this reading. I am down with the flu, but yeah, I took already a few days of rest. But yeah, I really feel the call to do these readings now, so bear with me, please. So this is a general reading for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs for the month of February 2020. If it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Don't stretch it or try to make it fit in your story if it's not your story. All right, so this is the Two of Cups as your current energy. My readings tend to focus more on the internal landscape and less about the dramas outside of ourselves. It's always a correspondence, and it's up to you to figure that one out. But yeah, I hope that makes sense to you. Oh shit, the tower. I actually like the tower many times, but I also know that it's challenging, and it's in your challenge position. So here we are. Let's see what's that all about. Okay, so what's your focus? Your focus is the Queen of Pentacles. Good. What's your advice for the month of February? The Hanged Man. Right. What's your future energy? And we got two cards here. The Wheel of Fortune showed up when I was pre-shuffling your cards before I started the video, so that's interesting. So yeah, as future energy, you have the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Pentacles. Beautiful. And bottom of the deck, and kind of what you're working with this month, is the Ten of Swords. Right, maybe that's why the Tower is yeah, the Ten of Swords energy. It's it can be perceived as quite difficult. I like this one too. Sorry, I'm gonna explain later how that's working out. I'm gonna pull out the clarifiers first to get like a bigger picture about what's really going on in here. I noticed that I use Crowley more as clarifier with the air signs than I do with others. Interesting. I have no idea why, it's just happening. Okay, so you have the Six of Swords and the Four of Discs as your current energy, along with the Two of Cups. And we have the Five of Wands with the Tower as your challenge. We have the Universe with the Queen of Pentacles as your focus. Nice. We have the Empress with the Hanged Man as your advice. Sorry about that. And we have the Hermit along with the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Pentacles as your future energy. There's a lot of major arcana in here. What's here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And bottom of the deck, there's the Six of Pentacles again. Nice. That's actually a really good energy. You have really good energy in here. I'm gonna start, of course, with the theme, with the underlying energy, and the Ten of Swords. It looks quite dramatic. It's traditionally read as a death of ego, or even worse when it's about the outside drama like betrayal or things like that, being backstabbed and so on. But the way I read it, it's a little bit different though. I'm reading it more into the terms of evolution of consciousness, right? And in our evolution of consciousness, we are learning all the time, and we are growing, and we are constantly changing. We're adapting to our environment and to ourselves, really. We are rewriting the story again and again and again, and we can get stuck in old stories, and we always kind of operate from there. and from those limiting beliefs that we internalize at a very young age, that kind of stay with us and follow us our entire lives. And they can manifest as shadows or parts of us that we can't really see and we can't really touch, because we kind of divorced them, or we got some separation was created through trauma. Trauma not necessarily meaning the most disastrous trauma, can be also innocent trauma, or things that are less dramatic, but many times we don't remember those events anyway. Anyhow, we create these like threshold guardians, like whenever we get triggered in that spot where we hold a wound. So basically, when this separation happens of the self and something goes into the shadow self, which you can check out the shadow in Jungian psychology. I'm sure you're going to find a lot of information about this, about shadow work and so on. But I assume that those here know a little bit about that already. I hope you do. It's really good work. So when something goes into the shadow, it means basically that we can't really see that part of us anymore. It can show up as something that annoys us in other people, or something that really, really we hate outside of ourselves. But we can't ever understand we contain that within ourselves as well. And what shows up in order to separate us from that, it's this swords energy. It's like a programming, like a defense mechanism, right? We need a shield, we need a fence. And these defense mechanisms can start having a life of their own, and becomes almost like personas, or like we start acting in certain ways. They just take over, and that's why when I'm triggered, I'm reacting in very particular ways, and those ways tend to be automated. I'm automatically becoming either defensive, either aggressive, depending what my pattern is, based on your whole history and your what you've been mainly exposed to, and your predilection based on your based on your personality. But also these choices actually coming first from the nervous system, but never mind, it's a long conversation with the fight and flight responses and so on. But basically, that's what happens is, and when we have the 10 of swords, it means that one of these defense mechanisms, these personas that kind of take over you, it's an automatic response that you have to certain triggers, is starting to, it's letting go. It's letting you start releasing that. That's why I say it's really good news when the 10 of swords happens. It's like the mind that is creating that compartment, that particular shield and separation is finally giving up, or it's dying here. And that's the growth of the mind. The all the cycles in all the suits in the tarot go from 1 to 10 the pips, and that's the cycle. And the swords, it goes from the Ace of Swords to the 10 of Swords, and 10 of Swords is the end of that peep cycle, and that's always good news because it enables the next cycle, if you go along with this, of course. But you see, this one is called success here, the 6 of Pentacles that comes along with this 10 of Swords. So I think that even though sometimes you can get stuck in this energy, like that final battle of the automatic response programming coming in and trying to take over, the resistance and the dark night of the soul, and so on and so on and so on. But I think that if you've been in there for a while, or if you've been having this battle many times, you're finally going to succeed. And you're going to succeed because this is a 6, and the 6 of Pentacles talks about kindness, talks about giving and taking. I think you're finally understanding that this is not a battle at all. There's nothing to fight, because this is just a creation of your mind in order to keep you safe. You understand its ultimate motive of keeping you safe. Therefore, there's nothing to fight. You just really need to inform this part of you that it is not needed anymore. It can be transformed. It can take a different form, or it can simply allow this barrier, this shield to dissipate, and it creates a bigger, it's growth basically, because once like a shield separates, like two different things become something bigger, right? It's sorry, I suddenly, I'm missing one word. It's one word that I keep trying to put in here, but it's eluding me. Yeah, anyway, that's a great growth, and it's happening, with this success here. I think that, yeah, integration, that's the word. It's part of integration. You're integrating back that part of you from your shadow self that had been separated, that was out of your awareness, back into your awareness. Therefore, this becomes obsolete. Therefore, there's not going to be any fight. It's coming back to happy, happy, joy, joy, peace, and so on. Also enabling you to get out of the ego mind, which is again activated when it you feel unsafe. So it creates more defense mechanisms and so on. But as you grow, like in this cycle, you finish with this 10 of Swords. There's like one more layer of protection peeled off, that it's unnecessary at this point, and you're growing into an even bigger, rounder, whole person. So great job, Gemini. That's really good. Two of Cups. Well, that's kind of the whole month thing. Now let's go through the steps and see. This is your current energy, the Two of Cups. Happy, happy, joy, joy, love, connection, feeling like really balanced within yourself, and maybe with the people outside of yourself. You show yourself into the world, either to your partner or to your friends, the way you show up in relationships, in a very balanced and open way. You have your cup full, you're sharing what you have in your cup, and you're generally curious to get to know other people outside of you. You're not going out there trying to show off or to tell them, this is who I am, come and enable my version of myself and my version of reality, because you know who you are. And that's really, really nice. This Two of Cups shows up really, really nice in here. And in the Crowley deck, science, Six of Swords means science. And I kind of like this interpretation of the traditional Six of Swords, which is moving away from a situation that's not also working for you anymore. And in this sense, I think that in being called science, I like it because it shows that you learn how to work with this. You're learning how to work with your mind. You're really like starting to get the game. You still really, really start understanding all these inner dynamics and how it works, and what what power really means. See, this one is called Power, the Four of Pentacles. And you see, this is Pentacles. It's a physical energy, and in this case, like Four of Pentacles in general speaks more about being a little bit protectionist and really closed in and clingy and so on. And here you see like a fortress. Somebody's like really protecting, and that means power in the sense. And this is the Sun in Capricorn. Yeah, the Capricorn archetype talks a lot about power. And I think that you do feel powerful, but it's you get the sense when your defense mechanisms get activated, and they're not needed at this point, because you learn how to work with your mind and you learn how to contain yourself. You have that power of self-containment. You have you hold space for yourself. See, these are boundaries that hold this inner space in a very safe way. Damn right, that's really good work again. That's really, really good work. Strong boundaries. But it's not because you're holding the world at bay. You're just creating space for yourself. You're creating that container. That's it. And that's why the science is here, because you really, really get it now. Now, why is it challenging? Because this can rock your world. This can completely rock your world. The way you've shown up in the world before. And what does this mean for the future and for the rest of your relationships? Maybe this can easily work with people that don't trigger you so badly. Maybe you get to practice with certain people, and that's great. But sometimes we get thrown into situations where we get triggered to the core of our being, and that does feel like shit. But that's usually also kind of to get to put this at work more and to go to the deeper layers, where it's so fun and easy when we peel off the outer layers, the ones that we can already say with our conscious awareness that they don't work for us anymore, and we're really happy when we see them go. But as we go deeper to our heart center, we figure out the way, we figure out the path and how it works, we figure out the science of this whole thing. We can really have our minds blown, because it radically changes everything. Everything, it becomes changed. The way we show up. See, this is the 5 of Wands, which is called strife in here. And in the tradition, in the Way deck, it's depicted like 5 kids playing around with sticks, and they look like they're fighting, but they're not necessarily fighting, they're more like competing or something. But here it's called strife, and that talks about feeling maybe very competitive, or trying to have some type of not trying, more like finding yourself in situations of rivalry where you need to prove yourself. And like when you figure out this shit, when you figure out like how this really works and how to succeed by letting go of by relaxing into the awareness of your defense mechanisms, and not trying to hide, but rather create that place of peace and container in yourself in a safe space, without the use of these ancient mechanisms that have been carried with you for since Wheel 4 probably, then you have really nothing to prove. Because when we try to prove something to other people, it's because we are really trying to prove that to ourselves. We feel insecure in that area. If you tell me, for example, well, you're a shit tarot reader, I will really get offended, or I will start becoming defensive if part of me believe that, If I don't believe that, I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. It's your opinion. I get it. But it doesn't necessarily affect me deeply. So I have nothing to prove to you. I'm not going to take and start giving you a different reading or whatever to go deeper. No, this is just an example. It can literally go on with anything that you hold dear and that you put energy in. You take criticism personally when you are doubting yourself, right? And that's when the need to prove yourself. And if we grow up from early age, having to prove ourselves one way or another, either to a sibling, either to parents that, is that type of reward based, I love you if you prove yourself or something like that, then the whole universe gets shaken in the moment you realize that you don't have to prove yourself. There's nothing to prove. You are perfect just as you are. With your insecurities, with your flaws, with your ancient mechanisms that are coming up and down again and again, and your process, your working process, and you're perfectly imperfect. There's nothing to prove. Because you are now self-contained. You get your own boundaries. You understand who you are. That's absolutely fantastic, right? And there's nothing to prove anymore. And I think this is kind of that's why the Tower is here. It's quite intense, and it will shake you off a little bit. This Tower is actually spiritual awakening. is not really as what's the word omnious as people tend to grow to believe that the tower is. It's more like, okay, yeah, there's a way that you see reality, or that you show up in reality, that doesn't make sense anymore. And it requires you, we'll get to your advice right here, to step back and to revisit the way you need time for integration for this, for all the science that you got. And when you strip off these layers, we need time for integration. We need time for taking it in and see. We're rewriting the story of who I am, which is still just a story, but it's a different story than what it was before this happened, before you figured out that you are perfect just as you are. And your focus here is the Queen of Pentacles and the universe. Universe being the world card, is 21, is the end of the whole journey. This journey here is like the end of this mental cycle and defense mechanism that was coming automatically to you. And that enables a completely end of a karmic cycle. This cycle has been going on for lifetimes, because it's major arcana. It's a real big end. It's something that's really important to your soul's journey and evolution of consciousness, right? So with the Queen of Pentacles here, again, I think that's the whole point. You need time to integrate. You need time to really ground right now, to really get into your body, to really hold that safe space, that container for yourself right now, and really value this journey as it is right now, and value yourself and what you've accomplished through this, your willingness to do your inner work, to stay present with yourself even when triggers as big as this came over. And when those defense mechanisms that used to work for you, and then they started working against you, finally they figure out that they're not needed anymore. And that's a very dramatic moment. It really feels very dramatic for each and every one of us when that happens, because a part of me that used to exist and I identified with for so long becomes obsolete, and it's that feeling of emptiness and again, separation, because we don't like it anymore. It doesn't help us anymore. Or why am I drinking all the time? Or why am I becoming so condescending around some people? Or why am I doing this? Or why am I doing that? We beat ourselves up for it, it's so weird when it actually finally, when the shadow doesn't come back anymore. It's going through the acceptance process and then reintegration. I can feel, as I said, quite shaky, and it completely, if we don't take the time to integrate this experience, then we're almost it can be destabilizing. That's what I'm saying. So I think it's important for you to acknowledge that you're one step closer to the core of your being, and that it is really important to really acknowledge your value right now. That you are a unique individual having this human experience, right? But yeah, part as a whole, because the Queen of Pentacles, is very connected to the earth, right? She's very connected to the cycles of the earth. And you're just finishing a cycle. It's important for you to keep the focus on this as you experience this tower, because it's important for you. It allows you to stay present with yourself. Again, eat well, healthy, nourishing food. Really nourish yourself through this process. Make sure you get enough sleep. Maybe connect to the cycles of the earth and of the moon, and pay a lot of the attention to these practicalities of life right now. It's not about connecting to divinity right now. It's your own inner divinity that you need to honor in this very moment. That's all. This happens by itself, this cycle. You don't need to force anything, you don't need to strive anything, you don't need, you can get quite, this can go two ways. Either you can feel really, really scared and depressed and like your compass is fucked for a moment. Either you can get incredibly excited and be like, yeah, I just discovered how the universe functions, how the world functions. I just discovered the science of it all. I'm gonna go out there and revolutionize the planet. Take your time. Allow yourself to really, really integrate this process into every aspect of your being. And you can only do that by truly connecting right now to your physical human nature. And your advice, yeah, it's the Hangman and the Empress. And the Empress is an even higher expression of the Queen of Pentacles. They're very connected. The Empress, she's very, very again, she's very empowered by being fully present with herself, by being very connected with nature. She's like Taurus energy. And the Hanged Man is Neptune, actually. The Hanged Man talks about taking your time. Allow, like if you hang from this tree and looking upside down, you have a different perspective. You get enlightened through that different perspective. Yeah. These are all very static energies. The Empress, she sits on her throne, usually. Now, I don't know what she's doing, what this one's doing here. She also sits on her throne with a lotus here. Okay, I don't understand. Oh, she looks at the moon, of course, connecting with the cycles of the earth and with the cycles of the moon. Sorry. I'm not really sure what bird is this. I wanted to say that it's a swan, but she doesn't look like a swan with this peak here. Anyway, I think it has to do with grace and with hatching. I think she's hatching here. Yeah, usually the Empress can be depicted as pregnant, and that also talks about the cycle, and also talks about creativity, the magic of creation, not necessarily specifically about creating children, but bringing that creative energy into the world. This is really, really important for you right now in this beautiful journey. I think that you'll get it because you get a science of this, right? And there's success here. I'm insisting on this because, well, my reaction to this was full excitement. I was like, holy shit, now I understand everything, my goodness, let's go out there. First of all, I wanted to just accelerate my process to do this with all my shadows, and I was going retreat after retreat after retreat. Into 1 year I've done 4 silent meditation retreats. I completely retreated from the world. I went living on the island and so on. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna really do all the inner work now, and that's going to solve everything. And after that, I had no clue what's that gonna lead me to, but I was like enlightenment or whatever. I got that excited. And well, going for the silent meditation retreats and retreat was really good for me, but that whole expectation that this will I don't know what I thought that that's going to bring. Of course, I'm still a human being. Of course, I still need to do this work. Of course, I still have shadows, and I'm going to have and discover deeper and more hidden layers of myself as I go deeper again and again and again. If anyone comes to you and says, like, I've completely figured out all my shadows and I'm all pure light and I'm all that, that's bullshit. That means they're bypassing themselves. They're spiritually bypassing, most likely. So if that's the case for you, it's okay. Enjoy, be happy with it, but don't go throw your life away completely. and saying that I'm like, take your time and brace yourself. There's going to be more work like this to be done. Now you get the science of it. Write it down if it helps. Look at this from other perspectives as well. If you're taking this in, for example, from the perspective of the tarot, maybe look at it from also the perspective of science. And you're Gemini, you're quite good with this, so I'm not worried there. Okay, maybe take it from the perspective of religions. What are the religions? What are generally religions saying? Maybe Christianity, maybe Buddhism, maybe pagan religions or whatever. Or maybe take it from the perspective of mysticism, or from the perspective of, I don't know, an animal. How would an animal perceive all this? How would, if I were on the moon, how would all this look to me? Would it still be relevant? Does this makes any sense? If I look from the eyes of a lizard or from the eyes of a different kind of entity. Okay, maybe this is stretching it. I just hope I'm making the point that I've been trying to make with this hangman here. And yeah, you're slowing down, you're going in, you're really, really taking this in, and you're understanding your own value, and you're understanding the cycles of the universe and the cycles of your own universe, and maybe you might even get a little bit prophetic views about how this will affect your life so far. Don't put too much bets on it, because the universe has its own way to surprise us. Don't worry. What is important is that we are getting closer and deeper into ourselves, and we are cultivating the ability to not just go for like or dislike or prediction or this or that, just to be present with everything there is and to look at everything as it is without trying to change, without striving all the time to get better, get more healing, do more of this, be more of that. We can just be, and that's all that we are supposed to be doing. That was a long and passionate speech, Andrea. Wheel of Fortune with the Six of Pentacles here as your future energy. Also the Hermit. Wheel of Fortune emphasizes change. You know, in Buddhism, they say that everything is impermanent. And something that I had to really struggle with, because I had huge resistance to change. Funny enough, life brings me all the time change, or I put myself in situations that end up with huge changes in my life, or like changing my house a lot, or where I live, or my job, or things like this. So as little as I liked change, it was omnipresent in my life. And some other people have a lot of stability and they keep a job for 10 years or things like this, 20 years, or live in the same house for so many. For example, I moved a lot, and maybe I kept some of that pattern into my adult life, and that's other things to talk about in my own programming and stuff. But it's not about me. It's more just, I was just trying to share with you that it's really important to take in this understanding that everything changes, because that can allow us and give us the gift of non-attachment. It's a real gift when you're able to not having to attach to neither the way how things should be, or not how you should live your life. Have less expectation of don't get too attached to what am I trying to say? An end result that's closely envisioned by you. Allow life to surprise you. And when we are that brings the real fortune, when we are able to let go of our expectations and to go with the flow, to really allow this wheel to roll, and we learn to be cool with pretty much anywhere it lands here, because we are learning all the time and we are expanding our consciousness. And this tower, for example, changes everything. This perspective of the hangman changes everything. we can work on this change. And with the Six of Pentacles, this is changing also the way you show up in the world, the way you give, the way you take. It enables you to bring more kindness into your daily reality. And also to really keep that balance of how much you give and how much you take, and how to not overgive, for example. And with the Hermit here, oh yeah, with the six talks about service. And obviously this person is giving here because he has extra, right? And he comes into service. He enjoys he enjoys to give. He gives because he's whole and he has plenty. He has extra. That's a real joy. This person is not like giving his own arm, or that's why he has the scale here. He knows how much he can give. And with the Hermit, I think it's actually quite connected with this power here. You are able to be self-contained. You are able to hold your own space, and you're able to hold that space also in solitude. It's maybe also a reminder that after all this process, you may need some alone time. But the Hermit, it doesn't necessarily mean to remove yourself physically from reality and from your life, or necessarily to lock yourself out into the house and not be social again. It's more about coming into that place where you know who you are. You can have an individual experience, and you are curious to investigate deeper layers of yourself and bring light into darker corners of your psyche, just like you did over here. And you're less like you have less resistance to this. You are able to perpetuate and keep this wheel of fortune moving. We want this wheel to be moving. We don't want to get stuck. So that's a really, really great reading. I'm celebrating this with you, Gemini. I hope it still makes sense to you, what I'm saying here. I must sound like really funny with this flu. Okay, I'm just going to take the one that turned around. And it says Al-Uza, star of Venus, and it's number 26. That's an 8. My God. 26. Oops. I think I just passed it. Okay, let's read a little bit about this. Hope you can see it. You know how clear this is. Ta-da! Okay. Alright, so the poem from Rumi says, I am the pure light, my son. I am not a handful of worthless dust. I am not just an empty shell. I am a regal pearl formed in this world. Close your eyes to see and become aware of me. Perceive me with eyes that see the unseen. Come into the mystery to find me. I am a carefree visitor here for you. Wow. Okay, I'm trying to, because these are all very long reads, and it's a lot of wisdom in here, and sometimes it's really hard to summarize. But yeah, I'm trying to get to see what makes sense for you. Okay, so what I like that he does talk a bit about this some type of androgynous experience. So the star of Venus is the great androgen, neither solely masculine nor feminine. And I like that you have the Two of Cups here that shows both the masculine and the feminine coming together into union, right? The power is the power The power it bestows is mighty and based utterly in love. When the star seeks out multiple blessings bestowed, and our spiritual growth can be accelerated in ways that may be quite dazzling and surprising to our more limited mindset and belief system. Definitely, your mindset it's having its dark night. It's a capitulation there, and it's growing, and it can feel quite dazzling with this tower here. With great blessings, great growth is possible. However, the blessings don't do the growth for us, making it magically happen. They give us the warmth we need, the power and the opportunities and assistance we need, yet it's still we who take the journey. The great spiritual journey for where am I? Sorry. The great spiritual journey for all souls at this time in Earth history is the journey from duality to oneness. Oh, yeah. Many are signing up for that wild, loving adventure. This oracle has come to you as a reminder that you too have been granted a ticket for that journey. This journey of oneness is not about denying duality, but about experiencing it as an expression of one love. It is about no longer being enslaved by it. It is about avoiding what is not wanted in order to pursue what is wanted. It is about embracing the awe of finding the freedom and joy originally sought, but now through a path that takes you into joy and freedom existing within, with the hermit here, existing within. The joy and freedom existing within. To take the great transformation from man or woman into cosmic androgen does not require that we lose our sense of femininity or masculinity. Rather, they become so superior in development that they cease to be distinguished from each other. Our masculine clarity with its discernment, practicality, and application becomes so tender, loving, compassionate, and tempered with grace that the feminine is integrated with it. Our feminine nurturance, dedication, and connection to life becomes so fierce that discernment and wise action naturally prevail. Just to underline, has nothing to do with sex, with your sex and perception of gender. It's really about the masculine and the feminine energy. We hold both of them, no matter what's your sexual identity. Okay. So with this great androgynous integration of the masculine and feminine into oneness, men and women of this beautiful earth become capable of a new consciousness. Okay, that's really too long. Okay, let's go straight to the guidance. So your guidance is to trust your path, trust your evolution, even in the face of those around you reacting to it possibly in fear or discomfort. Trust in the paths of others too, for in truth there is one path and we are all on it. You do not have to convince anyone of anything. See, that's exactly why this strife is here. There's nothing to prove. So you do not have to convince anyone of anything. That is not your job. Your job is to embrace your wisdom, embrace your freedom and empowerment to grow spiritually and live your life accordingly. You are becoming, through bestowal of grace, something more of a goddess and a god, of a human and sacred animal, integrated as one. This is sacred alchemy amplified in the star's fire of Venus, who loves you as a brother and sister or sister, and honors your soul with her blessing. Shine, true beloved, shine bright. That's such a beautiful and inspiring reading, Gemini. I really hope it makes sense to you. If it resonates, please like, share, and subscribe so that other people can learn about these readings and hopefully find what they need in them. So, yeah, let's let our practice benefit all beings. Have a wonderful February, Gemini.